Oh. Sure. That's what I want. Oh. Okay. Let's see. This is TO, picking up where we left off yesterday, and we have 86 hours left. So first thing we're going to do today is do the weathering on all of these models, especially the Marines. And then we're going to do a matte varnish, and then we're going to go back and do the eyes on the Marines, so it'll be glossy. And then with time left over, we will move on to basing the new Marines, priming them, and then we'll go back to the Knights and add metals. I don't know how much of that will get done today. We're just going to dive in and see where we get. Plenty of models, plenty of hours. So yeah, let's roll.
Keep on thinking like, oh,
pretty damaging.
Like mine's probably gonna be at like the bottom of the pile because my work is like isn't good. So I don't know. It's hard to see things from. It's hard to objectively read my own writing because I'm there's like this critic in my head that's just screaming at me and saying no one wants to read your stuff and things like that.
Well, you're the critic in your head is in a lot of people's heads. It must be in a lot of people's heads. That's, but is this your first script?
Weirdly enough, it's actually not. I've been writing since like 8th grade, but it's my first feature script.
Your first what?
It's my feature script.
Your first one?
Yes. I'm sorry, my first feature script, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's the reason. I think that, here's the problem with a lot of screenwriting things. Everybody can write. But it's really not that hard to write a horrible screenplay. It's just not that hard to write a terrible, ridiculously bad screenplay. But the issue is most people that go into it want to write something, do their best work. They want to do really well. And that's why I told you the story of The Sixth Sense last week with 10 drafts. Why didn't you just do it in one draft? He was a professional already. Why did he torture himself like that? And the other thing is, if learning screenwriting and all the structure stuff that you can learn in the class is everything, then why are all the teachers billionaires and getting all the movies made? What's the deal? That's what I actually spend a lot of time trying to figure out. What's the thing that separates the people that the special scripts that do get made, special movies that get made? How do they get made? And a lot of people never have that happen. What is it? So I spend a lot of time talking about those things because I think that most of what the structure and all that kind of stuff you can learn from books. You can learn from just things. Very important. But I would tell you, you have to fight it because your only alternative is just to give up. Lou Hunter, again, I quote him, he was my mentor. He said, "You never fail at screenwriting. You just quit or die." That's what he does. But you don't fail because your draft right now that you think very lowly of could be the foundation of The Seventh Sense. But it could be just something that it's just you think it's trash. Oh, here, let me give you 2 quickies. Stephen King wrote Carrie. That's his first big one. He threw it in the trash. He just thought it was horrible. His wife picks it out and says, "No, it's not that bad. Keep going." He eventually sells his first novel for $400,000. Okay, and I found out that Nicholas Sparks threw, what was his big first book? You guys know? It was the Notebook thing. Threw it in the trash. Wife picked it out, sold for $1 million. Okay, here's the thing. You got to get married. No, just kidding. No, but a lot of people, when you, like you just said, when it's your own work, sometimes you you're just too close to it. You have all these doubts. You just think it's nothing. And maybe sometimes it is, but a lot of times it isn't that bad. I do this all the time with students. You know, they tell me, "Oh, it's horrible." They don't tell anybody yet it's that bad. And then they read it out in class, and it's okay, it's good. But a lot of times we're so down on ourselves, we can't see it. You know? So it will happen. You can't make these feelings just go away, but I would tell you that keep going, you know. You're probably not that bad, to tell you the truth. Probably not that bad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. Thank you.
Write it down. I'm not that bad.
I'm gonna put like a sticky note on my forehead that just says, "I'm not trash."
Write it backwards so when you look in the mirror, you can read it. Yeah.
That's a better idea. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Oh, you know what? Somebody else had one. I remember it was somebody else that had glasses. I can't remember who she was. Oh, there. Yeah, Kimberly.
The thing for me is, you know, too many ideas, and so sometimes trying to weed, and so having the classes and having feedback, good and bad, you know, even if it takes you to a place where you're stuck, is really the key, I think, because writing is so solitary. That it's really been, you know, it gets hard. And when in this process of this script that I've worked on, you know, I started to go into some new directions, and to have a teacher to call to set up a time, or to call somebody else and say, "Can you read this? What do you think?" It really is about trying to get sometimes out of the head and the connection to holding on to everything. It's been a really hard thing to learn, of letting go of scenes, to letting go of characters, because I love them, but you know, sometimes to make a better story. And so I find myself sometimes almost grieving or whatever, or then you find that scene that's so great, then you know, the great joy, I think sometimes nothing better than if I'm laughing at something I wrote, or if I'm tearful at something I wrote.
Yeah.
You know, it helps me, but that outside opinion, as you said, by having writers groups like you do and other people to, you know, even if it's one or two people, it's the only way to keep sane when you're in a project. You know, it's just I have a harder time when I'm scared of something, of getting back to the computer. It looks like an evil beast over there that, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint, you know, the page. And sometimes I find it's hard to get back to the computer when I'm scared of not doing well. That's harder to write something that may not be good.
Well, just tell yourself most of what you write won't be any good. I mean, it's true. It's interesting that's why I say that quantity. Most stuff is just discarded. You know, like I was reading about that guy Dan Brown that wrote Da Vinci Code. That he has, I guess he doesn't know about flash drives, but he says he has refrigerator-sized boxes in his basement filled with old drafts. You know, he just writes tons of stuff, and only very, very little is useful. You know. And that's something I think about. You said you have too many ideas. You guys know about Marie Kondo, right? Spark of joy. You know, you gotta like take all the. I mean, look, I'm not a hoarder, but I'm borderline. Okay, but everything, you know, I just collect junk. I have to stay away from garage sales and flea markets and all that stuff. But see, yeah, congregate method, yes. But I think you have to kind of look at things, and you have to make decisions, because you know, some ideas are better than others. Some ideas aren't very good. If you have a attachment to them all, you're just going to be all cluttered. So you do have to be kind of brutal. I think it was some famous writer said, "Kill your darlings." I can't remember which guy it was. But, you know, you have to do that. I mean, unfortunately, you can't put it all in there. So I guess you just have to be brutal. You know? And that's why writers groups and professors and people that
This guy
from
needs
the
this
outside
pouch.
can
I
say this is
just
way too
noticed.
long. By the way, I mean there's a lot of resistance. People don't want to hear stuff sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I also just, when I decided to go back to writing, I just, with drafts, I didn't know what was good or bad. And so I would pay someone or whatever to say, good or bad, and getting the pass, whatever, or recommend or consider, it gave me, the notes that they gave have been eternally grateful, of not pass, getting a pass. And,
Sure.
So sometimes it's being willing to put it out there so you get the negative that helps you to be positive. That really was a shocker for me, how much I appreciated that. And when I get disappointed, then I'd reread it and go like, wow, that was really helpful.
Good. Okay. Any other questions?
Oh wait, sorry, Troy.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I should have raised my hand, but so yeah, I was just thinking about like sometimes like you write a story or like you have your story and you love it so much, and then you get really frustrated because you feel like your writing is not doing that story justice. Because you're like, oh, my concept is better than the way I'm like able to write it, or maybe it's like something personal that you're in love with, and I don't know if that's like a thing that other people have as well,
Sort of
where they like love what they're about to write, but they just feel like they're not writing it as good as they could.
That's why people hire people who like hire writing. I mean, look, it's just because you guys are most of your students. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you're still learning, and
how's it going?
Okay. How are you?
Okay. You all right?
Yeah.
something they were really close to. And personal that they wouldn't share if they could execute it. So that's totally true. You know, like, look, here's the thing.
Yikes.
Just don't forget to have fun. You can trip yourself up so much by just thinking too much. If you're not having fun doing this, if there has to be an element where you enjoy making up things and, you know, and solving story problems and issues and making up people and characters, you know, you have to have fun doing this. If you don't have any fun, then you should invest your time, your time in something else. You know, but that's what I was saying in the lecture, that it's very important to learn that these 30 weeks you have together, is to find that out. I find that most people, it takes about 5 to 10 years to kind of have a breakthrough big enough to kind of maintain a career for a while. Generally, and not all the time, but just, you know, really pushing it, learning, getting better. It takes a while. You know, sometimes I had one person in one of these kind of classes wrote his first script, got it made. Okay. It's on Amazon Prime somewhere. But here's the thing. He was young. He was probably in his early 20s then. And then what did he do after he gets his movie made? He applies to the UCLA MFA program, gets into it, completes the MFA, and then a couple years after that, I heard from him. He's working at his parents' restaurant. I don't mean that's bad, but I'm just saying that there's going to be ups and downs and ups and downs. It doesn't mean because you get a movie made that it's I'm done. You know, I'm done. But it can happen. But I'll tell you the thing about that script. It was very personal. It was very funny, and it felt like it was alive on the page. It was all a mess in a way, but there was something living in there. That character, he must have captured himself and put it on the page. Yeah, it just popped. But he wasn't able to get it again right away. You know, so it's elusive, these things. That's why, if you like The Sixth Sense, in my opinion only, I don't think he's ever done a better movie than that. I don't know if you can disagree with me or not, but I'm not sure. He's probably thinking, you know, I don't want to do a better movie than I'm going to write all mediocre. I'm going to write a lot of lesser stuff just because I want to. I don't think they think that way. It's really, you know, it's hard, and you got to write a lot of stuff.
This guy needs his purity seals picked out.
I don't know if you had any comments about The Sixth Sense too. Not that we have to. I'm not going to do a total study on that, but it's just to read something. If you had any thoughts.
Happened?
So is it worth like $2.5 million? Or,
Did you send us The Sixth Sense?
I need to forward that to everyone. Sorry, I
Sure.
thought you wanted to talk about sharing it this week, and
Oh, okay. I guess we missed. Yeah, that's good. I don't have to read another script this week. Yeah, you can read it. I think it's fun. I mean, I enjoy, you know, reading scripts that were major breakthroughs for the writers. And you wouldn't have heard of him. He didn't do The Sixth Sense, right? And you go like, okay, why? What's working in here? What can I appropriate? What can I learn from this? And the more you do that, the better the writer you're going to be. I think one of the Rolling Stones Keith Richards or something, he said, whatever goes into my ears, because he's a student of music, just comes out my fingers as far as a guitar player. So whatever you're going to read, you know, it's going to be a part of you. It's going to be part of that raw material. I'll put it this way. I think it was the Mike Troy. Here he is. Where's Mike? No, but when you take a 30-pound weight and do sit-ups, right, it increases your ability to get 6-pack abs. Here's something you do if you want to be better screenwriters. Just read more screenplays. If you want to put on another 10 pounds on the weight, read the source material. Like you can read, for instance, read the novella by Stephen King, Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption. Okay. Then read the screenplay, then see the movie. Another good one is, if anybody likes It's a Wonderful Life. You know where that came? Has anybody read the source material? Okay, here's something you can do. The source material is a short story a guy wrote back in the late 30s, and he couldn't sell it. And he was a magazine's short story. He couldn't sell it anywhere. Just couldn't sell the short story. So he printed up 200 copies and sent them out as Christmas cards, just to all his friends. And then somehow Frank Capra, the director, got a hold of it, long story short, back then, he was paid $50,000 for that short story because he thought it was the most incredible idea. They eventually got, they wrote the script and everything became It's a Wonderful Life. But if you really want to educate yourselves, read source material, read the screenplay, see the movie. And what that'll do is you'll get lessons in adaptation. You'll also see what the power was in the source, but there's something in that source material like radioactive, what's that stuff in, what's it called? Unobtainium, something like that. It's some powerful, mineral or something. And then they take it out of the source material, they got to stick it in the screenplay. They got to take it out of the screenplay and stick it in the movie. And somehow that's why they pay so much for certain ideas and short stories and Jumanjis and plays and whatever it is, graphic novels, because there's something in there, some power, some living source that they know is going to empower a screenplay and become a movie. So if you can recognize that going through, it just teaches you about what's the real core important thing. It's not, see, the trappings, you can hire somebody to build the house around it, but that energy has to be in there, the life force. And in Chinese, it would be, qi. I mean, this idea of like Tai Chi, it's a certain living force. And I'm not going to, I'm not an expert in Tai Chi, don't go there with me. But this is really something important to understand. That's why certain movies get made. That's why certain books are optioned. It's this power without it. Okay. Anything else?
Mike, did you have something you wanted to share earlier? Sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say when we were kind of talking about the things we're struggling about, because this UCLA program is the first time I've ever written scripts. So before this, I'd written short stories. Like I was writing a lot, but they were all short stories, like 15 to 20 pages. And so I'm just so used to like shaving everything down to the axle and just getting like a hyper efficient story that can just be cranked out like pretty fast. So my struggle is almost like, keep going and hit that like 90, 100, 110 pages or whatever, So that was just my comment. So I don't know if anybody else is having that struggle, but if they are, I totally get you.
You mean having enough material to fill 100 pages? Is what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah, because for me, it's I'm so used to like taking out and taking out and taking out, and then I get to some like, nice short story that's like 15 or 14 pages or whatever, and it's like with the script, it's also hard because I'm especially like action sequences. Like
in high school.
I noticed I have this bad habit. I keep describing how the characters are feeling in the moment or how I think they're supposed to feel, and I know that's kind of supposed to be left to the actors. So so that's also a struggle too, because again, when you're writing just regular writing, even in a short story, you will sort of write like, oh, they're thinking this and feeling this right now. And that's been a hard habit to kick. But yeah, just trying to make sure I have enough, like I have an idea that's big enough to fill a full script,
Well, it's kind of funny, but is there any novelists in here that they have the opposite problem often? It's just write too much, And then, like you say, you're a short story person. I don't know if there's any haiku people, but you got to look at screenwriting as a very specific kind of writing. It's not like other things, and it's really like I told you last time. It's like writing. I would say writing with images. Okay, it's like painting. It's more like painting with words. Okay, so it's really also to evoke, that's the good word, evoke the movie in the reader's head. So that means it has to be read almost at the same speed if you're playing the movie behind me on a big screen and you're reading the script. It should read about the same speed because you're trying to trick not trick, but trying to get the reader to see the movie in their head. And when you say a common criticism of some scripts, they'll say like, "Oh, I bumped on this thing here," which means that the film like skipped in their head. It ceased to be a movie in their head when you bump on something. You know, so the best screenplays kind of take you on this magic ride of seeing a movie. Think how magical that is. You know, I talked about the power of writing, like somebody like said in that book. It's the greatest invention in the last 5,000 years. You think all you're doing is writing little black and white marks on a page, and you're trying to make people see, you're trying to make them feel, to cry, to laugh, all these things from just that. That's it's magical. And then you're trying to keep it in a format where it's a 90-minute to 2-hour story, and you're trying to have things like that they never seen before, but we have all felt before. You know what I'm saying? So it's magical. I mean, you have to look at. That's another thing that the Beatles, Paul McCartney was saying, that the thing that why their songs are great is because of magic. But he said they're well structured too. They're well structured, but there's magic. So yeah, I know but it's a thing about believing in things, and you have to have. I think you have to have that kind of thing going on in you, to get that little 1/100th of an edge. So I don't know.
Actually, speaking to that, and also to, I think it was Kat's comment about like sort of judging yourself. I do tend to get a bit paralyzed by that it's not enough to be okay, but it has to be exceptional. And then sort of just judging from the get-go, well, this isn't going to be exceptional, or, this is like, what's the point in pursuing something if it's just going to be okay? But then there's already, there's people already performing at an exceptional level who are struggling to break in. So,
yeah. Well, to break in, you have to be, I don't want to say better than the people already in there, but you have to set yourself apart somehow, and here's the trick, and it's lectures that I'll have later on, but you just have to be yourself. That's all it is. I mean, that's the biggest trick, but it sounds too simple because there's nobody like you. So you have to kind of like, what's coming out of you that they go, I got to go back to Daniel Whitman because he's the only guy that can do this. I mean, there's nobody else that has this point of view. Like, oh, it's a Charlie Kaufman script. It's a Tarantino. I mean, how did they get that way? How do you become that? It's a Woody Allen. It's it's Alfred Hitchcock, or there's a thing that they do, and I think I'm not saying they bleed into everything, but there's some of their DNA has been it's been put in every work somehow, Like the Chinese painters would say that you left your heart print in the painting, meaning that when people that admire that kind of work or understand it can recognize different painters just by the way they interpret something, the way they do it, make a bamboo leaf or a bluebird. I mean, everything's a certain way, and I think you'll grow into that as the more you write, you'll find your way. But I think that's the number one thing, is how to set yourself apart from all the others. So it's not egotistical in a way, just like, what's special about you? I put it that way. You're special.
thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think we can go ahead and wrap up if.
Yeah, everybody's feeling like content and happy and really cool.
Riley, I wrote something in the chat.
Go ahead if you want to share it in the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, someone said to me in this program that he's not going to aim for a Hollywood career because he's too old. So I'm thinking, can someone be too old to pursue a screenwriting career?
That's a really good. I like these kind of questions. I'm old, but I started when I started very young, and my name is young. But look, think about feature films. If you were like 100 years old and you wrote an incredible, like you wrote The Sixth Sense, let's say, they're not gonna. They don't care. I mean, maybe they'll be shocked if they meet you in person or on Zoom. You go, "Whoa, you're that old?" But the product will kind of like shine out. I mean, it's harder. I'm not going to talk television. You know, it's a little more, you know, group oriented, and you got to work with other people. But I had a deal like was in Canada, and I never met those people. You know, they just read the script, and they liked the script a lot. So I think if you're still competent and you can still write, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are. If it's a great screenplay, I don't think it matters. It makes it a little harder in that maybe your contacts, the people that you know and go to parties with, you might not meet the same kind of people that you would if you were younger. But I think that, again, if it's quality, it rises to the top. Put it that way. Plus, if you're 100 years old and you're going to write a script about the 60s, like let's say you're an old hippie, you're probably going to write a more interesting hippie script than maybe a guy that's making it up. You were there. You know, so choose your ideas wisely.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And one quickie. You're absolutely right, though. It's more than Hollywood. There's all kinds of other ways and other indie places and other ways to make movies today. And you know, you don't always have to go for the big Hollywood productions. So.
Right. I think we should wrap up now, since we went over last time. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's fun. Thank you. And good night. Bye, everyone.
What an awkward
so much.
silence.
Good night.
It's pretty great.
Bye-bye.
Okay. This captain has some little notches on his cloak. I can pick those out a bit. And then all of you guys also have purity seals that I somehow missed. Don't know how. Okay, that should be all the weathering for today. So now we're gonna go back and do these seals. And we'll do a mat. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go.
The unholy, funnily enough.
Oh my god, I gotta stink.
I mean, it's also possible that we just don't run a healing trinket on you. We could just give you like a damage trinket. swap these two, then those two actually run like an aggressive Vestal. Because we've got a secondary healer in the Plague Doctor. And then Hendry...
Okay, I'm gonna go. I love you.
I love you. That's pretty good. Okay.
Okay, welcome to Screenwriting Kung Fu episode number 3. Hope you enjoyed last week and your red rubber balls still bouncing along. Today on Screenwriting Kung Fu, episode 3, I'm going to talk about Bruce Lee. And I don't know if you knew this, but Bruce Lee was the Cha-Cha champ of Hong Kong in 1958. And you actually see him on YouTube. He's great. You know, he took this expertise at dancing and his expertise at martial arts and kind of blended it into a way of learning that is called, well, I call it Bruce Lee's 3 stages of learning. The kind of the subtitle of that would be Learn by Forgetting. Now, the first stage of the 3 stages of learning by Bruce Lee is the stage of innocence. It's childlikeness, original ignorance, desire without skill. Like right now, let me give you an example. If I turned on some cha-cha music and I did like in the middle of the movie Network and just told you right now, get up out of your seats and start to dance to this cha-cha music, what would you do? Some of you might just sway from side to side. Some of you might really get spin around and put your hands in the air, whatever. Maybe you'd have fun. Some of you might just ignore me. Or some of you actually know cha-cha and you would be kind of grooving along. Nonetheless, you're just kind of having fun. And here's another one, getting away from the dance thing, but going into martial arts. What if I were to just punch my fist like right through the screen and it just came right at your face? What would you do? Most people, you cover your face and jump back. But if you were trained, you might actually deflect the blow and just punch me back right through the screen. So that's stage 1. It's really just being who you are when you come into it. Again, you have a desire to do something, but you don't have the skill. Childlike. Lesson number 2, or the second stage of learning, is lessons and structure are imposed. You start taking classes. This is where you become a student under a master, and your sense of freedom becomes lost. Action no longer flows. The mind freezes to analyze technique. What once flowed becomes mechanical. Okay, so that's actually, stage 2 is when you have to perform with the structure of a master imposed over you. This is a very important step, and you cannot be a Kung Fu master at anything unless you go through this kind of Act 2 period of suffering and pain and hard work, or the kind of the stage of doing. And this is the stage of learning, like Ralph Macchio and Karate Kid doing the waxing on, waxing off. It's Neo training under Morpheus in the Matrix. It's underprivileged kids learning calculus and stand and deliver. That part when you go from being a natural to unnatural, and it feels very uncomfortable. Here's a bit of wisdom from a very good book called Zen and the Art of Archery. Actually, it's by a German man named Herigel, who went to Japan to study archery with a Zen master. And this is some of his wisdom, but it applies directly to this Bruce Lee stuff. He says, among sword masters, now he's talking about sword masters, on the basis of their own and their pupils' experience, it is taken as proved that the beginner, however strong and pugnacious he is, and however courageous and fearless he may be at the outset, loses not only his self-consciousness, but his self-confidence as soon as he starts taking lessons. He gets to know all the technical possibilities by which his life may be in danger in combat. And although he soon becomes capable of straining his attention to the utmost, of keeping a sharp watch on his opponent, of parrying his thrusts correctly and making effective lunges, he is really worse off than before, when half in jest, half in earnest, he struck about himself at random under the inspiration of the moment and as the joy of battle suggested, like he was just having fun, like my son playing Kung Fu. Now, a lot of this comes out of this paralysis, comes out of the fear of failure or just the fear of being embarrassed. There's a great saying that sums it up. I don't know where it came from, but I like it. You can't look good and get better at the same time. So it is with screenwriting. Once you start taking lessons, you may find your self-confidence is being replaced by self-consciousness. And your teachers start telling you, you can't use Times Roman font, only 4 lines of description before you need to take a break. your dialogue is on the nose. I mean, look at your formatting's all off, and you have to learn structure and all these things. And soon what you thought was going to be a fun screenwriting class turns into not fun, and it's hard work, and you might get disappointed and frustrated. You begin to learn how difficult it is to capture the scope, the emotion and the movement and life, the life force of film on paper. And that is not a natural thing to do. Unlike, Dear Diary, when you could just write Dear Diary and just stream of consciousness. That is not screenwriting. Screenwriting takes training. This guy, Liu Chai, he was a painter, lived centuries ago. And in the book, The Tao of Painting, which was published in, I think, the early 1700s in China, this is what the guy says. You must learn first to observe the rules faithfully. Afterwards, modify them according to your intelligence and capacity. The end of all method is to seem to have no method. If you aim to dispense with method, learn method. If you aim for simplicity, master complexity. So really, it's talking about this stage 2, the Bruce Lee stage 2 of learning is really about, if you do have this end goal to be, free flowing and just simple again, you have to master complexity. And this takes a lot of, again, hard work, investment of time and energy in the quadrant of important, but not urgent. So to make something look effortless and simple takes training. And that training is essential to enter Bruce Lee's 3rd stage of learning. And that is natural unnaturalness, where the technique is forgotten, where it's spontaneous, and you're thinking without thinking. You're adjusting to your opponent like water, flowing. You're not confined. There's emptiness, the formless form. Return to innocence, skilled innocence. Those kung fuers who can do their thing in the 3rd level, that's flow. And these are people like Muhammad Ali boxing, or Jackson Pollock when he painted, or Snoop Dogg rapping. Now, often students think they can skip over the 2nd stage of learning, and just brush over it. But with few exceptions, that hard work part, the 10,000 hours or whatever invested in important, not urgent, they're wrong. Now back to the book Zen and the Art of Archery. What is true of archery and swordsmanship also applies to all the other arts, including screenwriting. Thus, mastery in ink painting is only attained when the hand, and I have my Chinese brush here, when the hand, exercising perfect control over technique, executes what hovers before the mind's eye at the same moment when the mind begins to form it, without there being a hair's breadth between. Painting then becomes spontaneous. Here again, the painter's instruction might be, spend 10 years observing bamboo. Become a bamboo yourself. Then forget everything and paint. So again, this goes back to what we spoke about a couple weeks ago. Being is greater than doing. Eric Roth, who wrote Forrest Gump and Benjamin Button, says this: you can be taught the form. You can probably learn dramatic structure. But at some point, writing needs to become instinctive to you. This is incredible. Like, you would think that it wrote Forrest Gump and Benjamin Button. Says this: you can be taught the form. You can probably learn dramatic structure. But at some point, writing needs to become instinctive to you. And this is incredible. Like, you would think that your instinct would precede the learning, but it's interesting. He's saying even learning first the form and learning dramatic structure, then it needs to become instinctive. Again, it's learning by forgetting. You got to flow. Most of the great creators describe their creations, they were birthed in this thing called flow. And the flow that produces greatness is only achieved by going through the Bruce Lee stages of learning 1 and 2, which is original be, then you go into do, and then you want to get to being again. Is a 3-step process. It is in this 3rd stage of learning where unnatural becomes natural that great art is found. It is not made. I would like to give you a list of people I've chosen that have made this journey, of their heroes, and they all have kung fu in their respective arts. It's kind of one of my hobbies is to clip out articles about people who have achieved kung fu in a variety of callings. Here they are, just a few. Ice Cube, Kanye West, Albert Einstein, Ed Catmull, who's the co-founder of Pixar, Gwen Stefani. Now, they all have something in common. And what this is that their adult work and or passion has direct roots in their childhood play, the red rubber ball stuff. Just want to show you something. They found the red rubber ball in innocence and kept it, bouncing through their adult life and work. They successfully integrated work and play. This is the best way to live. So here's the question. Is your desire to storytell, is your desire to screenwrite rooted in childhood play? Let me give you an example of some of these guys. Ed Catmull. Ed Catmull. Again, is a 3-step process. It is in this 3rd stage of learning where unnatural becomes natural, that great art is found, it is not made. I would like to give you a list of people I've chosen that have made this journey of their heroes, and they all have Kung Fu in their respective arts. It's kind of one of my hobbies is to clip out articles about people who have achieved Kung Fu in a variety of callings. Here they are, just a few. Ice Cube, Kanye West, Albert Einstein, Ed Catmull, who's the co-founder of Pixar, Gwen Stefani. Now, they all have something in common. And what this is that their adult work and their passion has direct roots in their childhood play.
Okay, so I have to let these dry in order to apply a wash before I varnish. And I don't want to varnish until that's done because I want to varnish them all together. So that means I have to wait and come back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump on. Well, I could either lay the metallics to airbrush or I could do the basing. Let's do the metallics, I guess. Nah, I'm in more of a basic mood. Let's do that. Well, I don't know. Yeah, let's do metallics. No, because I don't want there to be any risk of kicking up dust. Okay, we'll do basing. This you're kind of in the lacer.
Red rubber ball stuff. Just want to show you something. They found the red rubber ball in innocence and kept it, bouncing through their adult life and work. They successfully integrated work and play. This is the best way to live. So here's the question. Is your desire to storytell, is your desire to screenwrite rooted in childhood play? Let me give you an example of some of these guys. Ed Catmull, Pixar co-founder and computer animation pioneer. 2 idols as a child, Einstein and Walt Disney. Just watched tons of Disney cartoons on 8mm, and he also said he had a passion for making flip books of characters that he created. Albert Einstein, his first scientific memory, he wrote about this, was his dad showing him a compass when he was 5 years old. That experience left a deep and lasting impression on me. Something deeply hidden had to be behind things. And by the way, one of the triumphs of the relativity theory was to show how magnetism and electricity are really a single phenomenon known as electromagnetism. So it's all rooted in that 5-year-old being awestruck by a compass. Gwen Stefani, she says, I'm like a Trekkie, but for the sound of music. The first time I ever went on stage at a high school talent show, the dress I wore was the dress that Maria wears when she sings I Have Confidence. The drop waist tweed dress. I had that dress. I made it. And Ice Cube, they asked him, what are your earliest influences? He goes, Dr. Seuss. My love of words and wordplay goes all the way back to things like Cat in the Hat and Muhammad Ali's float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Kanye West, Dr. Seuss. He said this, I did a tune based on green eggs and ham when I was in 7th grade and really bored. My mom gave me $25 and I recorded it. So look, what are your roots? Can you trace your desire to be a screenwriter and the types of stories you want to tell to your childhood passions and play, to the things you used to do for free, the things that enthralled you, that were your primal sense of joy? For me, give you an example, I was enthralled by Mad Magazine. I mean, there was this market near my house called Boys Market, and I would just go there like a religion, and I just, couldn't wait for the magazines to be shipped in and just waiting for the new issue of Mad Magazine to hit the stands. And I realized that with Mad Magazine, like Einstein and the Compass, I know this is a wild comparison, but Mad Magazine is all about humor and satire, in the sense revealed to me that there was something hidden behind things. And that's what I loved about Mad Magazine. I'm spending a lot of time on this non-screenwriting material to teach screenwriting in a way. And look, I know your workshop instructors are going to give you a lot of the nuts and bolts. They'll have weekly blogs. You have dozens of great screenwriting books to choose from. Hal Ackerman, Lou Hunter, Richard Walter, the late Blake Snyder, Sid Field, McKee, Linda Seeger, Truby. Excellent books by excellent teachers. What I choose to talk about is really the foundational truths that underlie your desire to be a screenwriter. Another hero out there, by the way, is John Wooden. Recently voted at 98 years old. They just voted him as the greatest coach in sports. And he was, of course, UCLA's basketball coach for many years, a total legend. They called him the Wizard of Westwood. This is what he did. Now imagine, he's a legend. He goes in to meet a new crop of basketball players, and they're all expecting like great wisdom from this guy, great basketball instruction. The first thing he does is he takes out a pair of socks and teaches them how to put on their socks so there's no creases that can cause blisters. Okay. And then the next thing, after he's done that, he gets down and dirty to the real basketball stuff. He teaches his players how to tie their shoes. Absolute basics. I kind of feel the same way about all the things I'm talking about. These are the foundational things that you need to do before you kind of dive in, and just so you won't get those blisters along the way. I can't stress this enough, by the way. Screenwriting is one of the greatest lifestyles you can pursue. I mean, this is really dress up for me. You can sleep late, you can go to bed whenever you want, till you get a family. But even with all the suffering involved of screenwriting, if you were made to be a screenwriter or a storyteller, it's worth it to pursue this lifestyle. If you were not, maybe you'll just dabble at it and enjoy a fine hobby, which is good too. But I want to say the professional program will be very valuable for you. It'll line up the screenwriting desire and dream you have with your childhood play and reignite perhaps a long-lost passion. Or maybe it will affirm what you've always known, that you are a storyteller. Or it will show you that screenwriting is not something that you want to spend a lot of time and energy in that quadrant of not urgent and important. Like Michael Jordan, realizing he should be a basketball player rather than doing baseball. Both realizations are extremely valuable. All right, it's time for Nemo, Finding Nemo, episode 3. I'd like to do a review briefly of episodes 1 and 2, though, because when I first chose to kind of explore Nemo, I thought it was going to be simple, easy, but I found that the film and the script are wonderfully complex. It took years to write, and I could see why. It's a great and complex screenplay. Anyway, the opening. I want to just mention, we saw the opening in the first episode. It sets up everything in 4.5 minutes. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then the 4.5 minutes it takes in the opening to set up Nemo is worth an encyclopedia of gold. It's great. An opening of a film should really establish tone. And I thought that the opening of Nemo really did a great job of that. We open on clownfish, so we know it's fun. It's a funny movie, and Marlon and Coral, his wife, are just, their banter is great, like the great screwball comedies in the 1930s. So we know it's fun. Then it gets dramatic. They're going to be first-time parents, and of course, Marlon is going to lose his family. So it's really dramatic. The tone is dramatic comedy, but with a lot of heart. And I think dramatic comedy with a lot of heart is really what Pixar is all about. Also, what they do in that opening is, the defining moment of the Barracuda attack, which, he loses his 399 children and his wife, that affects his future. The setup of the value of Nemo, that he's 1 out of 400, that he's named by the deceased wife, putting value on Nemo. That's going to be very important for the rest of the movie, because obviously if Nemo's not valuable, Marlin doesn't have to go look for him. Also, what this movie does is it sets up who the movie is about and what the movie is about, Finding Nemo. And it also sets up the fact that this film is going to be a character and plot-driven film. There are some movies that are more, plot-driven, some that are more character-driven, but this is a true hybrid. And it's really, summed up in that line that Marlin gives, "I promise I'll never let anything happen to you, Nemo." Again, it's of the heart, but it also tells you what the movie's going to be about. So it's a great blend of plot and character. By the way, the opening, using the Bruce Lee stages of learning to work that in there, it's Marlin in stage 1, which is natural innocence. He's having fun. He's just being himself. And that's the way it is until the Barracuda comes along and essentially robs him of innocence and plunges Marlin into the stage 2 of learning, which is not fun. The second clip we had, this was last week. This is a review of what some people call the ordinary world, or the setup. It's usually in the first 10 minutes of a movie or the first 10 pages. This is essentially where you're showing life and balance, the beginning of the protagonist's character arc, the stuff that immediately follows in a fairy tale, Once Upon a Time. So it's setting up. And again, Marlin's ordinary world is one of fear, caution, and overprotectiveness. Not fun, by the way. And a little note on structure. There's so many, teachers and ways and ideas about structure. And I'm just going to give you a rough learning of structure that I picked up at UCLA. And there are so many, so I just want to put that out there. Marlin's ordinary world, by the way, can be summed up with his mantra. I call it Marlin's mantra, which is simply, be safe. Be safe. Now, everything is going along, be safe. Everything is in balance up until what we call the inciting incident. This usually happens about 10 minutes into a film. And by the way, again, that's open to so much interpretation. But the inciting incident in Finding Nemo would be the drop-off. As soon as Marlin hears the word, the drop-off, it's like he immediately takes off, like everything's out of balance now. Now, here's an easy way to kind of understand this. If the setup of your ordinary world is like creating story potential, that is like making dynamite, it's creating that potential of dynamite, then the inciting incident is like lighting the fuse, okay? That triggers Marlin's greatest fear. It sets off the film in motion. Howard Suber often says that film is religion, and the ordinary world is kind of like paradise in the Garden of Eden, where there's no story, and everything's just going along fine. Adam and Eve just watching animals and eating fruits and vegetables, nothing going on. And then God says, there's this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and if you eat it, you'll die. That's an inciting incident. It ripples that world. So if nothing ripples or disturbs the balance of the ordinary world, life goes on and on. Marlin would just go home if there was no drop-off. He would just go home and anxiously wait for Nemo to return from school. They would live safe in their anemone. Marlin would continue to be fearful, cautious, and overprotective and humorless. There's no change. Okay, so everything's in balance up until Marlin's greatest fear button is pushed. The inciting incident triggers Marlin's greatest fear of losing Nemo. And so now we'll go to our new clip, which I want to use to illustrate the key incident in a film. That's something I think Sid Field calls it the key incident. At UCLA, some people call it the page 17 moment. It could be a mini crisis, challenge, or temptation. But let's take a look at that clip right now, and then I'll talk a bit about it later.
Come on, sing with me. Just the verses time. See where you school, see where you spot. It makes sense from the ways on the side. Okay, the drop off. All right, kids, feel free to explore, but stay close. Stromolytic cyanobacteria. Gather. Entire ecosystem contained in one infinitesimal speck. There are as many proteins there contained in this one. Come on, sing with me. There. Peripheral, interona, hydrozoa, skeptical, entozoa, septical, hydrozoa 3.
Hey guys, wait up! Whoa. Thank you, like. Oh, you guys made me eat. What's that? I know what that is. Oh, Sandy Blake and someone. He said it was called a butt. Wow, that's a pretty big butt. Oh, look at me! I'm gonna go touch the butt. Yeah, let's see you get closer. Okay. Beat that! Come on, Nemo. How far can you go? Oh, my dad says it's not safe.
Nemo! No!
Dad?
Oh, you're about to swim in open water.
No, I wasn't
It's just a
gonna
good
go
thing I
out
was
with
here.
that.
If I hadn't shown up, I don't
He
know.
wasn't gonna go. Yeah, he was too afraid. No, I wasn't.
This does not concern you, kids. And you're lucky I don't tell your parents you were out there. You know you can't swim well.
I can swim fine, Dad, okay?
No, it's not okay. You shouldn't be anywhere near here. Okay, I was right. You know what? We'll start school in a year or two.
No, Dad! Just because you're scared of the ocean.
Clearly you're not ready and you're not coming back until you are. You think you could do these things, but you just can't, Nemo.
I hate you.
There's nothing to see. Gather over there. Excuse me, is there anything I can do? I am a scientist, sir. Is there any problem?
You know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt things. He isn't a good swimmer. I just think it's a little too soon for him to be out here unsupervised.
Well, I can assure you he's quite safe with me.
Look, I'm sure he is. But you have a large class, and he can get lost, from sight if you're not looking. Now, I'm not saying you're not looking.
Oh my gosh! Nemo's swimming up the sea!
Nemo! What do you think you're doing? You're gonna get stuck out there, and I'm gonna have to get you before another fish does. Get back here! I said get back here now! Stop! You take one more move, mister. Don't you dare! If you put one fin on that boat, are you listening to me? Don't touch the boat. Nemo!
Touch the butt.
You just pounded your little tail right back here, Nemo. That's right. You were in big trouble, young man. Do you hear me? I'm coming, Nemo. Nemo! Nemo, no! Nemo! Nemo, Nemo! No! No! Hold on. No, it's gone. It's gone. No, it can't be gone. No. Nemo! Nemo! No! Nemo! No, please, no!
Okay, so this clip is a great illustration of the key incident in Finding Nemo in a lot of films. Now, the key incident, when I say page 17, like some UCLA folks call it the page 17 incident, or just page 17, or we just say 17, What that's really talking about is some gurus out there probably watched hundreds and hundreds of popular films, and they realize around 17 to 20 minutes in a lot of films, this this key incident thing happens. And so it's really, not about saying it has to happen there, but it just happens to happen there a lot for some reason. I remember talking to some very famous writers once, and I said, hey, I was at UCLA and they were guests in our class, and I said to them, like, hey, you guys write like with all this structure paradigms and rules and all that? And they looked at me funny and just said, we don't know anything about that. We just write the scripts from our heart and we just tell stories. But they said, it just so happens that most of the things we write happen to fall into these paradigms that these gurus have produced. So there you go. I mean, I don't know, it's the cart before the horse, or the chicken before the egg, or whatever. Anyway, page 17, key incident. Again, it's like a challenge, a temptation, a mini crisis. Mini crisis meaning, by the way, you can turn back. And I'll show you what this means here. By the way, also, the page 17 moment, you know what the movie is really about. Even though the movie hasn't officially started yet, and officially gone into the act 2 yet, you know what it's going to be about. But the protagonist, or that, in this case, Marlin, can still turn back. And I'll show you what we mean by that. At this point in the film, Nemo's been taken, and Marlin is just this little orange fish in a big ocean. Now, let's say you've never seen this movie before. Or this wasn't a movie, this is real life. What would Marlin do? Now, he could, at this point, decide, oh my God, I'm in the middle of the big ocean. I'm totally freaked out here. I better get home as quick as I can. I can always get married again and produce another brood of little fish babies and put Nemo behind me. That is a choice he could make. And I won't tell you what happens, but that is the choice. Now, if I said before that creating a story potential in the ordinary world of your script, probably the first 10 minutes is like making dynamite, that potential, then if the inciting incident is like lighting a fuse, then the key incident is the explosion. Nemo! Now, in Finding Nemo, what's happened here with Marlin is, if fear is greater than love, Marlin will go back home and start a new family and forget about Nemo. We're going to see what happens, like I said, next week. But here's a couple key points. Number one is when Nemo tells Marlin, he says to him, I hate you. I mean, whoa, Marlin has actually lost Nemo right there, emotionally. And even if Nemo was not physically taken by the diver, there's going to be a lot of trouble. I mean, they're going to go home. They're going to probably argue all the time. Nemo's going to be really upset, and he'll probably run away from home. And everybody will have a miserable life. And what that does, though, that little I hate you, it adds a little emotion to that, the moment when Nemo actually gets physically taken. It adds emotion to that. So it makes that key incident even bigger. And the key incident, by the way, it's when the greatest fear usually, or the greatest whatever, the greatest desire or the greatest possession of the protagonist is threatened. So the key incident is Marlin's greatest fears realized. Sometimes, by the way, a protagonist can struggle to make a decision about, for quite like maybe 10 more minutes in the movie about what are they going to do. But in the case of Finding Nemo, you have to wait till next week. We're going to find out what Marlin does indeed do, the decision he makes, whether to go after Nemo or not. I'd like to go into our closing, wisdom, the wisdom section. And the wisdom today is from Stephen King and Alicia Keys. And I see them kind of walking out together on stage to deliver this wisdom. And the subtitle of this wisdom section is called You Are Enough, Part 1. You Are Enough, Part 1. Stephen King says, now he's talking about vocabulary as a writer's most common tool. That vocabulary is a tool that it should be on the top of your toolbox. And this is from his book on writing. He says, you can happily pack what you have into your toolbox without the slightest bit of guilt or inferiority. As the horse said to the bashful sailor, it ain't how much you got, honey, it's how you use it. Okay, so that's pretty deep wisdom, actually. It's another. Sometimes you'll be in a class and maybe you'll put out your work for workshopping and you'll go, man, that guy, like his vocabulary is so far beyond mine, or the dialogue just makes mine stink, compared to that person, or whatever. But actually, what Stephen is saying here is, if you can just believe that what you have is enough, it's just how you use it, and that's going to be okay. Let's go to Alicia Keys. Somebody asked her, what was the best advice you ever got? And she said, this brother, named Van Hunt, a fellow musician, a great musician, said to her, Alicia, all you need is 3 chords and the truth. And Alicia said, it changed my life. It changed my mind on how to write, how to play, and everything. It changed my life. And, you know, again, 3 chords and the truth. It's like if you have something to say, if it's coming from a place where it is totally who you are, you don't need a lot of fancy devices or a lot of whole orchestra behind you to say the truth. All you need is 3 chords and the truth. To sum it up, 3 chords and the truth. It ain't how much you got, it's how you use it. Honey, you are enough. Good night.
Nice.
Hendry actually kind of needs stress heal as like their biggest thing in this area because they're not going to be fighting the Eldritch. They're not going to be bleeding that many targets, right? Because we're going to be fighting skeletons a lot of the time. So I'm going to take the Ancestor Scroll to get the plus 25% stress healing. And after that, probably the Lucky Die. Right now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No crit. Okay. Yeah, you did bleed, but... I mean, I did not specify whether or not you could bleed, so that's entirely my fault. Rotate your positions. Unfortunately, that also rotated you out of position to be able to heal. Wow, that's a potent heal right there. How did you do that? You did 2. You did it for 3. Oh, because she has gifted, right. So you hit for a heal for 2, and you crit on it, but because she's gifted, which means she receives extra healing, your 2 was rounded to a 3, and then the crit doubled it. Got it.
Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
I'll now drop 2 Citrine to start this stack of busts. Oh my god, there's no room combats after this? Nice. Oh dear. I've definitely oversupplied for this mission at this point.
The light, the promise of safety.
Yeah. That's what I was worried about. There's another obstacle here, so I can just not go past that obstacle. Obviously, I mean, I would just end at that battle. So the general idea was I was going to clear out these 2 battles, and then I was going to go back in low light, loot all of these, and then loot this in low light as well and leave. I'm pretty committed to still do that, though. Okay. Frontline is not dead off the back of that, but they're definitely not looking great. Okay. And if they decide to act early, you just know they'll be dead afterwards. It's fine. Take a bunch of recovery actions here? Sure. I mean, there's nothing on our entire party, but you never know. You never know when the smallest difference is going to make it. Got him. And with a crit. Hell yeah.
These nightmarish creatures can be felt. They can be beaten.
I mean, I can give plus damage to someone. I don't need to give plus 30% damage. So the differences are you interact with a curio, this holy water specifically, and you get plus 30% damage, or you interact without it and you get plus 20%. Doesn't matter. Did I loot something in that previous hallway? Oh, crumbs, I think I did. I wasn't supposed to, by the way, if you're wondering. Oh well. We'll stop lighting up these frontliners, because that backliner is going to be super easy to deal with. I'm actually just going to pull them out of position. Okay. Woo! Hell yeah! High dodge party to the rescue.
Destroyed.
Or we'll just kill both of the frontliners, and then the Fusiliers actually incapable of doing anything to us.
Decimated.
Nope, destroyed all of them. Alright, now I'm going to backtrack slightly. Snuff out the light entirely.
The darkness holds dominion. Black as death.
And now I can continue my standard traversal. In fact, it's actually much shorter this way. We go there, we go for those two curios, we go back to this room. Everything's fine. Okay, another hunger. But it did only consume 4, because the 50% did not round that up. Good.
A handsome reward for a task well performed.
We've managed almost to take all of the loot out of this dungeon, which is pretty good. It's no small feat.
If only treasure could staunch the flow of otherworldly corruption.
Surprising amount of portraits. We don't have another medicinal herb, so we can't interact with that curio. We only have one. I'm surprised by how few skeleton keys we've needed. Oh my god, another medicinal herb.
Awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
Well, I know that I'm no longer using the torches. I'm probably no longer using food. It would have to be one of those two spaces for hunger proc. Not certain about that, though. Unfortunately, based on whatever this curio is, we could need the holy water or the skeleton key. We won't know. I think I'll actually get rid of the holy water and the skeleton keys, though. This for extraordinarily small amount of health. So what have we dropped so far in this dungeon? Like citrine? A 2-stack of citrine? That's not that much. And it's just books as well. We're gonna leave. Hell yeah!
Room by room, hall by hall, we reclaim what is ours.
Fast Healer replaces Rune Scrounger and Kleptomatic on Hendry. Well, at the very least, we've got an excuse to lock Hendry away, because Hendry, I think, has Deadly, but I actually wanted to lock in on them.
A fresh irritant to some, a sanguine memory to me.
Okay, so all of our cures and things just went through. Everything's fine on them. Beauty. Beautiful. We've got a little more in the way of our crests. And busts as well. Okay, so how close are we? Bank, we're still far away from that. The granary, we're only 12, so that's 2 stacks of busts away. We're only 12 away from getting that granary. Which is just to save us some money every week. Puppet Theater we could get right now, but we're saving for the Cartographer's Camp. Anything in particular that I want that is using the deeds? Not really. Like, Altar of the Light eventually, but 200 deeds, like, come on. That's not happening. At least not anytime in the near future. What's the bank again? 50. Okay. It's probably our next large expenditure of portraits, if I had to guess. Now, is there anything in the Nomad Wagon worthwhile? Because I don't think we're going to go out on another quest. I actually have to cut this one short, unfortunately. Eagle Eye and Quick Draw. Oh my god, that's a good Plague Doctor. Unholy, Hater, and Hardskins. Yeah. You've also got fading, which is garbage. My name is Rhapsody. Well, now I definitely need to force that card. Oh, hey, nice dodge. Enemy doesn't even buff because of that. Hell yeah, nice dodge. Enemy. Oh. Huh. But he's gonna be happy that time. Nice crit though.
Another one falls.
Definitely time to try and max bleed him. Good, good. Undulating withdrawal. Oh, crit our backline though.
The slightest lapse in concentration.
Stop targeting people that aren't guarded or riposting. Stop it! Stop it! At least you're not critting, but still. Right, I'm gonna give everyone extra dodge.
Inspiration and improvement.
Okay. That now dies through the bleed that's applied to it, by the way, which is why I was so happy to have those do a smaller amount of damage there. One down.
Gently. This is how a life.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Hendry can't be healed right now.
Hey, Bob.
Hey.
How'd it go?
Good.
Good.
How'd it go here?
Pretty good. Thanks for going.
Sure. Just so you know, giant bags of cheese.
Yum.
So I don't know if we want to just take out half and then freeze the other half. Should be different, but
Are they different? Are they different types of cheese?
the one is Mexican, one's mozzarella.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, we certainly can. We're pretty low on our shredded cheddar cheese bag.
Yeah, I figured. So anyway, that is there for right now.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go back
Out.
out here.
Oh, okay, sure.
Love you.
Love you.
keep bleeding. Only way I'm dealing damage right now. Okay. Undulating withdrawal. Hey, we crit on our response at least. So we're going to get out of this fight. We're going to be pretty fine about it, but still. Oh! Flap applaud.
Formation is broken. Maintain the offensive.
Oh! Flap applaud. That's how this fight is supposed to go, by the way.
A time to perform beyond one's limits.
I'm going to start using the stress healing. Hopefully Henry goes next. Not Henry, sorry, not Bouchard, I mean. Just not Bouchard is who I wanted to go next. Unfortunately, yeah, we now don't have a heal that we can use, so instead we just the kill.
No place for mortal men.
Okay, so we now do have the Ancestor's Tentacle Idol for plus 20% virtue chance as well as plus 8% death blow resist. That's you. And we have a space to put it as well on you. If I can get through one combat, this one, oh, it's not even a hard combat. If I can get through this in low light, then I can go rest in the next dungeon. That's how I'll get all of my torque back as well. Oh, heal us all up a little bit as well. Oh, life's just getting a lot easier right now. Beautiful. Then we'll force guard. Really? And for 7 damage, so now they have a death or debuff. Lame. It's exactly as much damage as that needed to. We'll clean this. And rest and get our camping buffs. Okay. That went pretty damn well, all things considered.
In tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
So you do have mortality debuffs, so this will heal you by 50% as well as reduce your stress by 25%. Otherwise, I could prevent nighttime ambush as well as prevent the chance of, lower the chance of getting surprised as well as increase our chance of surprising the enemies. But Sanctuary, specifically for its effect on the Jester there, is definitely going to be more worthwhile. We'll go for the Unparalleled Finesse, and then after that, it's almost certainly just... Hang on. 17, 12, 8. I mean, I can just do every rose has thorns. And then you can do a resupply. Sure. That might come in handy. It might not, but it might.
Is struck. A blazing star is born.
If not for that Death Door recovery thing there, you'd barely even know that I'd fought a Shambler. And with an Antiquarian in the party. Now, this is a similar party as to what I had when I tried to fight the Antiquarian 2 episodes ago. And there was a lot of questioning of, hey, you tried to find an Antiquarian with... Antiquarian. You tried to find a Shambler with an Antiquarian in your party? Yeah, it's not that hard, especially when you have Bouchard or, a Highwayman. Similar. Pop the torch. Let's go. Yeah, not super pleased about this fight. Ah, good hit. Oh, no! Okay, Slice Off is in the front position. It's usually not. That's what happened there, by the way. Usually it's Harvest, then Slice Off. So I was trying to harvest the 2 midliners then. To no avail, as you might imagine. Yep, ran the marks. Ran the marks. Damage. Oh, perfect. As long as we kill all the response, we're not going to get any stress.
Destroy them
We need to start throwing out some heals there.
Confidence surges as the enemy.
Oh, these enemies have 33% protection. That was a big hit. I didn't want to use the point blank shot because I didn't want to move myself backwards because I really want to get the party heals out here. We no longer need to use the Force Guard on our
As the fiend falls,
Antiquarian this fight.
faint hope blossoms.
Oh wait, so
In
it's right.
radiance, may we find victory.
So I'm very likely to need to go up one way, come all the way back down, and then pump the torch. So we'll be doing the traversal back in low light. Which unfortunately will pretty significantly jeopardize our Bouchard's abilities because the Ancestor's Candle and the Sun Ring both being effective in highlight. One down. Yeah, I need to change the positioning of your skills, like, definitely. If that bleeds, that's 2 down, 2 down.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
Really? Man, I thought we were more powerful than that. 3 down. Ooh, and a scout.
Be wary. Triumphant.
Double scout as well. That's our third obstacle, and we haven't even seen the big part of the map. Maybe we have too few shovels. We don't have inventory space to throw around the Ancestors map, so I was just like, oh, it's fine. Hendry has pretty good trap disarm, that'll be fine. Evidently, no, is the answer to that one. Strong no. Especially, unfortunately, 100% of room battles means that I do have to go all the way up this hallway, just in case. Yep, and there is a room battle here. You'll get it this time. Well done, you. Oh, right, you're a kleptomatic, aren't you? Wow, I can't believe I actually missed that when I took you on this mission. Ooh, boy howdy. Definitely got to start with the stress healing. Oh, hell yeah. Get him.
Devastating blow.
Hell yeah.
A trifling victory, but a victory nonetheless.
I'm not going to pump the torch at this point. Full stack guard. Only one riposte, despite the fact that both of us were targeted.
Powerful blow.
Good crit. You're going to do a stress heal on yourself next round because you get the extra stress heal as a buff after your crit. Let's try and stun you. Nice. That also gets us above 75% torch, and as a result, my Sun Ring is now active with the extra accuracy. As well as a little bit of extra damage. Time for you to heal yourself. Oh no! 8 whole damage? What am I gonna do? I'm just gonna stall for this round. The enemy's dead, right? Yeah, they are. Whew. Come on, Ed. Get that group heal out. Enemy has -1 speed. We have 5. All's good.
Released horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
Alright, we should start to resort our inventory at this point as well. So, get rid of the citrine, get rid of the jade. We're never going to be able to take those home. So what I wanted to do is turn out the light and go for these 4 curios, and then probably fight in low light there, and then go for those 2 more. Then pop the light back on before we go into the room battle with treasure. So, what's it like? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 in order to turn the light basically all on. Pop the light out now.
Darkness closes in, haunting the hearts of men.
Gotta make sure the antiquarian is doing our looting. Right, now I'll get rid of the medicinal herbs. I should probably also start a stack of gold, so... Actually, if I want to camp there... Yeah, I'll actually camp here rather than use 4 lights. I just don't know what to throw. It's probably D's. Probably. There's another hunger. We knew that was going to trigger on that space. Come on, and... Wrong person. Wrong person. Rod should have done that. That's my bad. I don't think ultimately we're going to have space for emeralds. Damn it. Looting with the wrong person, definitely want the busts.
Awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
We'll now start throwing away some food, but it's fine. There's only 4 at this point. Definitely need to start getting busts. Just because the busts are there for the bank,
Yeah, that's good. Pretty cool.
It's all about getting the heirlooms right now so that I can, in the future, have a...
Finding the stone is all the first test. Now it must be carried home.
Oh, no. Have some districts actually built, by the way, is what that sentence was going to conclude. I definitely want to start another stack of the crests. Alright. Fine. I choose those over portraits. Fight time? Woo! That's quite low light to be fighting in. Also, I don't know if I'm going to be able to dig that up. Like, I can't guarantee it yet, so...
Masterfully.
Likely won't bother. One down with ease. I'll force that guard. The fact that it's very, very unlikely to be relevant. And we'll try and stun the front liner if we can. And we can. Missed them by that much. No need to force another guard on top of this one, so we'll just increase our own dodge.
A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose.
Start buffing ourselves up. Big old shot. Nice. And another blanket fire from position 2. We do get to respond to that one.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
Alright. I'm just going to set this up for the Brigand Fusilier to die basically running against me. Uh-huh. It'd look a lot like that if that also killed. Oh well, whoever gets the first action next round should kill, because we have, what, like, 2? Ah, there we go. That's what I was talking about. We'll set it up at that.
This expedition at least promises success.
It's another shovel, though. Alright, I'm gonna use it. I don't think I'm gonna get that unlucky with the later shovels.
Trinkets and baubles. Paid for in blood.
So doing this fight in low light, and then I'm gonna immediately rest afterwards. Okay, there are worse fights to do in low light. There are better ones, naturally, but it's not the metric we're gonna be judging by right now, because it doesn't help me. Good. Alright, we're covered. We've got a lot of ripostes coming out here, and everything will be fine. Oh, big old double crit. Oh, really? You're going to target someone who's already marked? Yeah, get crit. Oh, you can target someone who's marked? Get crit.
What does that mean, get crit?
Oh, who are you going to target? Oh! Damn it, I got crit that time.
The end approaches.
I specifically decided not to kill with that attack, by the way. Otherwise, I would have gone and used my more powerful attack. Because I want to get a stress heal out and a heal out. The enemy is eventually just going to hit me and die, so...
Never hidden.
We'll let them do that. Really? That's a crit.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. A handsome reward for a task well performed.
I can't rest from this screen like you used to be able to, so I can't just rest and then place it in that position,
A
unfortunately.
moment of respite. A chance to steel oneself against the coming horrors.
Like 6 stress, 14 stress? Ooh, it's just not really worth. I can do an encourage, and then what else? It's like random supply items. Then an encourage there.
As the light gains purchase, spirits are lifted, and purpose is made clear.
Oh, come on! You have 3 speed! How the hell are you acting ahead of someone who has 10? Like, yes, that's technically possible, and I know the mechanism by which it occurs, but that doesn't make it any less BS. It is still absolute horse off. Get him! And again.
Annihilated.
That's what they get. That's what they get for all this horse hockey. Actually going to reorder the party positioning there just so that I can get a group heal out. And then I'll kill it start the next round. I mean, like, I could get a stress heal for 6, but that's so small. As to not really be relevant.
As victories mount, so too will resistance.
All right, with that medicinal herbs, I'm actually going to move back 2 spaces, loot this. And this is just so that I can safely get another minor antique. I actually don't care about the extra food. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll see. Oh, God. Oh, you stole a map. Well done, you. There's an obstacle there. Is that room occupied, though? If that room's not occupied, I don't need to go there. Nice! Oh, the crits are just insane. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that I'm somehow still the slowest, despite specifically putting a bunch of speed additions on that character. That is to say, Bouchard. Save ourselves from further stun. Further stress, rather. Yep, pretty good damage.
Eradicated.
Well, there too as well. Oh, Henry just can't stop critting. Love it. Heal the frontliner. We're going to go out of this fight with everything in full.
Unforeseen.
Well, probably.
Forgiving.
Yep. Almost.
Success so clearly in view. Or is it truly
Trapped.
a trick of the light?
It's a relatively minor blight, all things considered. I'm thinking this is all something I'm going to want to loot in low light, though. No, I'm actually going to keep the medicinal herbs here. No, probably not. Start a stack of citrine. I can, but it's almost certainly going to be traded up for something else. Pumped the torch there specifically to try and get scouting. Ting. Okay.
Before.
Oh, nice. Another rare antique. Okay. Scout me over here as well. Yep. Damn it, there is a battle. Okay, so I do need another shovel. So my base through this mission, I was going to need 5 shovels. That's pretty crummy. That's excluding, by the way, the shovel needed for the grave digging up. I would have needed 6. Oh. Why are you not targeting the marked person? It's like your whole thing, is it not? Good work, Devil. Hopefully Devil goes super early in this turn order. I'll actually have you take some stress there, with the possibility of Devil going early. Devil! Go! Damn it, Devil! Just wanted her to group party heal.
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
Really? I didn't even know you could have 2 in the same I mean, obviously I'm going to do it, but I didn't even know that you could have this. I don't think holy water is going to be useful for me anymore, so... Oh, ignore that. Sorry. I don't think holy water is going to be useful for me anymore, so I'm going to give everyone some holy water. I'm going to fight another Shambler. Let's go.
The stars fall.
That's a problem. That's a bad shovel. Roll a 20% chance for stun. Probably not. I mean, managed to completely reorder ourselves already. That's not that bad. And we actually got to force the guard before the clap claws acted. That's so big. I mean, it's only going to matter if the clap claws attack the back, which they freaking refuse to do, apparently. How dare they? I actually think maybe I battle ballad. As much as I want to start bleeding, I think the battle ballad is going to be important. That's great. If I could have bled a clapper claw, I would have done that, but I couldn't have. Hey, kill it before it has a turn. Unfortunately, I've now also moved this Shambler. Oh, never mind. Nice kill. What's that guard? And now we'll start bleeding again. Good! Oh, that crit bleed means it's the last 5 full rounds. Nice crit response there as well. Now, I have another round of riposte, so I can actually just go for a safe hit here. Oh, no, I don't have another round of riposte. Oh, no. Oh, because I did the point blank shot the round beforehand. Of course, of course. Oh, that is my bad. Damn it. That was still a really good dodge. Just a shame it needed to happen like that. Alright, I'm delayed to withdraw. 2 dodges, nice. Yeah, both shambles. Sequences are up now. Hey, we got one down as well as set off our riposte. Perfect. Oh! Hey! Yes! Oh, it could scarcely be going better. I love it. Alright, we'll force that guard. Definitely top up that bleed. And we do need to party heal here. It's no real choice. The backliner was going to have a bit of a rough time with that otherwise. Obdurous advancement. Fine. Is the backline already dead? 12. Yeah, you are. Cool. So I actually don't want to move myself backwards with Bouchard right now. My name is Rhapsody. Welcome. Something else. Either area. Go this way.
Brought low and driven into the mud.
Yeah. Definitely looks like
it's a rarity in the fevered pitch of battle. Remind yourself that over
oh my god, we didn't even get this down.
City's killer.
That's so bad. Alright. Well, I know that the boss is here, so I'm going to start going in that general direction. Dodged it. Didn't scout it, but did dodge it. Good job, us. Hey! Did get the scout, finally. Secret room. So the idea is I'm going to go to the boss, and then I'll turn out the light, and I'll come back and do all the looting. So I guess I'm going to fight one battle in low light. Okay. So I should definitely be resting now. I leave myself with only enough for one single hunger proc. That's not a good idea. Okay, I'm going to...
Circle in the dark. The battle may yet be won.
I'm going to lower the amount of rations that we take. Now, basically, I just want to stack as much damage on the lepers as humanly possible here. So, weapons practice. I actually might risk a nighttime ambush. Weapons practice. You reflect. I can just sentry now. Sure. And no one has anything. No one's going to loot that. No one's going to loot that. Beautiful. So we use a single torch. Now we need to make sure that everyone's holding exactly the right things and doing exactly the right things. You've got your battle buff. That stand's probably also useful.
That's weird.
Here, we're definitely going to be going with lowering the bellows so that we can take defender. Command actually would be surprisingly powerful if I also upgraded that. Here, nothing.
I don't know why he's on a
Right,
smaller
yeah.
base. That's weird.
And here, nothing changes either. Beautiful. All right. Absolutely certain that everyone is completely covered. Let's go to the fight. So again, my goal here, just so that I can take home as much money as is humanly possible, is destroying all of the views. Huh. All right, I'll just give myself some extra protection, I guess. Battle ballads. Let's use revenge as well. Here's your battle long buff. Oh no, it's not battle long. What? You just got battle 1, and then it's. Aww. Wait, what? No, it's stacking with our effects that are lasting for 4 battles. Okay. That's much better. So am I better off queuing or Trouble Ruin? 20 damage. I can't guard 2 people at the same time. Hey, but it's going on me. I just want the extra protection, of course. Oh no! But if both of them are being attacked, then oh no, it'll go through. 16. So our chance to crit is 50%. So I just want to crit more. So I want to be queuing at all times. Good crit heal there. Fulminate across the body again. Critting.
Unbalanced.
Yeah, that's bad. She's in the old death's door now. Yeah, because the blight is on the old death's door.
Terrible vistas of emptiness reveal themselves.
Okay. Let's clear up that vision for you. The leper really needs to be doing a better job of taking these out right now, by the way. That'll do, leper! That'll do! And nothing but that, thank you. Stop fulminating! Too much fulmination. That's going to put you back on death's door, is it? 3 damage. Oh, sure. I actually get to do something else. She doesn't go back on death's door from the fulminate. Hell yeah. I'm going to kill one of the views for you. Then you're going to just straight up take out another one as well. You're going to start messing with this fulminating prophet. Oh, crit heal! Yeah! Alright, and no more fulmination. You did get 1 stun off though, but that's fine. That's only on the character who's doing the battle buffing. All right, I intercepted it with the guard. That's what happened. Nice. It's not going to be possible to move her out of position. I mean, if I double moved backwards, well, the thing is I'm not guarding anyone then. If I used Rampart to move myself forwards, I would still be guarding Berlin. No, not long. Damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I would love to party heal right now, but I'm going to single solo heal because I'm about to just take the full brunt of that.
Impressive.
Wow.
9, nice. Dominates the party, mostly gets dodged. That's very big. Rumble of Ruin lands. A lot of damage, but we don't have much protection right now, is why that's so much damage. Party heal again. There goes that Q. Now it's just fulminating profit time. Hell yeah. With that extra protection, no, that's not even extra protection. That's the same amount of protection you had last round. Oh man, you're gonna take a lot of damage here. Or not. I'll throw out another guard just to give myself
good,
more
but
protection
he's
buff.
really a bad spot.
So the battle balance, because those have been lacking a little recently. Definitely time for party heal.
The rarity in the fever pitch of battle.
Crit 49. There's more where that came from.
Between ears, blood vision.
Oh no, he stunned him. Oh, that's a problem. 12 damage though. Shake it off. Ah, love it. That's a big old problem right there. Yeah, she's going back on death's door if that happens. She's got a DOT. He does not. And I'm also going to single heal him to the point to try and keep him alive through it if it does hit him. He also has really high dodge, so it's possible it just does another crit for 49. Sure. Good double dodge. Dodge. No, but doesn't really get super perturbed by it all. Okay. Two of them are coming down, and I have some protections. It's not that bad. Problem is, if both of them, if I'm the protected one and the other one is the one I'm guarding, or rather, if both the guard and the guarder are hit, then no guard takes place, rather. No guard effect takes place. I can move myself forward with a possible stun. The thing is, the leopard doesn't have the ability to move themselves backwards while moving. Which means I can't just move the leopard backwards after having Curtis do this. Curtis can protect you, but then I can't move Curtis forward at all. And moving Curtis backwards would just move them directly into another problem. So that's not going to solve our problem. You're taking extra damage, but well, base HP is also ridiculous. This could decide whether or not we win, which is why I'm, taking so much time on it. I think I'll protect the leper. Then I'll have the Jester move themselves entirely forward. I think the amount of protection that we have... Oh my god, don't stop, thank you. I think the amount of protection that we have is going to result in... would have, rather, resulted in everything working out fine for Curtis.
So fucking much.
Again, same problem, just a lot of HP missing on the body. crit. This is very self-sacrificing of the Vestal, but they can move themselves forwards though. Good. Didn't stun the back line again. So the Vestal's now back on death's door.
Facing the abyss.
Of course. I will just immediately make sure that she doesn't take another hit. Hopefully you don't prognosticate yet. Never mind, they're dead.
And life is claimed.
Yikes! That took a lot from us.
And death. They are ridiculous.
So 2.5 each. Prognosticate yet. Never mind, they're dead.
And life is claimed.
Yikes! That took a lot from us.
And death. They are ridiculous.
So 2.5 each. Throwing those now, and definitely need the blueprint as well, unfortunately. So I need food just in case I... How far back am I going? Probably to there if I can. So I need the skeleton keys as well, because there's a skeleton key unlockable right here. I'm probably actually going to be full up on loot after that. I think there's only one space that can be hunger. I'm not going to go all the way that curio. I'm going to leave after this secret room. I think there's only one space that's going to be hunger, and as a or rather could be hunger, and as a result, I'm going to throw away the food. Put the light off.
This holds much worse than mere trickery. And
Right, no hunger, no hunger, no hunger, no hunger. No hunger, beautiful. Into here. Open you with skeleton key. Now we have to decide what's worth what to us. 1,000. Do we have anything worth less than 1,000? No. 3.5. Yes. The single ruby, unfortunately. 3 emeralds is more than a stack of gold. Oh, that's a lot of loot to leave there. Am I okay with that? I feel like I should probably get rid of like a stack of crests, a stack of gold, and probably another stack of crests for a stack of rubies. I should be prioritizing gold so much. Because we have the bank. We should be prioritizing gold right now. I shouldn't have taken any of those heirlooms. I should have just prioritized gold. It would have changed my score by like maybe 5k. Ooh, Photomania. -20 stress. If the torch is above 25, it replaced Thick-Blooded. Fine. Lethargy we do need to remove. Tapeworm we need to remove. Irrepressible. Don't really care about. All right.
a fresh spirit to some, a sanguine memory to me.
All's well that ends well on that front, at the very least. Have another look at the stagecoach. Catabois. Photomania is nice. Unyielding Compulsive, though. Photomania is nice. Oh, that's another antiquarian. I'm starting to run out of people that I can get rid of in order to take antiquarians. I don't know if this 4 antiquarian mission is actually going to happen. Is there any immediate, obvious next mission? I could go for the tough ring. Yeah, the hag to get a tough ring. Not that bad. Could go for a hero's ring. It's either going to be the hag or the input flesh in the next episode. Almost certainly. Definitely not the alluring siren, though. Basically dependent on what party I can actually get together, whether or not they feel comfortable going out. And I definitely want to try and get as much loot as is possible. So if it's possible that I can do some sort of a antiquarian as well as the Dismas build, that would have to be going for the input flesh. The problem is I don't have a low-level highwayman, so I don't think I can do that. Yeah, I don't think I can. All right. So as much as I want to get more money,
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and maybe come back.